Lestat here. Hope you guys are doing well. Today we're going to be profiling my Darklord deck post Battles of Legend. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a like. Leave a comment down below. I always enjoy interacting with you, and please consider subscribing for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh content. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. First, we're playing triple copies of Indulged Darklord. This is our primary starter. If this card is summoned, we could take two Darklords with different levels from our deck, place one on our opponent's field, and add the other to our hand. We're playing one copy of Capricious. This is the card we're going to give our opponent. Whenever this card leaves the field, our opponent's monsters lose 500 attack for every fairy monster on the field. For a generic extender, we're playing triple copies of Protecting Spirit Logith. Whenever our fairy monsters activate their effect, we could special summon this card from our hand. If we're going second, we could target one attack position monster we control, one card our opponent controls, switch our target to defense, and then banish our opponent's target. We're playing triple copies of Darklord Superbia. This is one of our primary extenders in our graveyard. We're going to be using it in tangent with Darklord Ishel. We're mainly going to be pitching her with Superbia. That way we could draw two. We're playing two copies of Darklord Aston. We could pitch two Darklord cards from our hand to special summon this. The Darklord cards that we pitch allow us to feel our graveyard. That way we can apply effects. We're playing one copy of Darklord Tezcatlipoca. This is pretty much a hand trap that protects our Darklords. Keep in mind, Ishel, Nastin, and Tezcatlipoca all have effects where you could pay 1,000, target a Darklord spell trap in your graveyard, shuffle that target back into your deck, and apply that target's effects. For the secondary starter, we're playing two copies of Ukobach, which is a Darklord Foolish Burial, one copy of Darklord Morningstar. We're mainly going to be using this card for the first Darklord. Whenever Morningstar is used as fusion material for the first Darklord can destroy all cards our opponent controls. And last but not least, for the monsters, we'll play one copy of Arklord Christia. This is our primary target for Shadow's Light. After we establish a board, we're going to be using Shadow's Light to bring out Christia, and that will lock our opponent. Getting into the spells and traps, we're playing triple copies of Banishment of the Darklords, which is our Rhoda. Triple copies of Contact, which is our Monster Reborn. We're mainly going to be using this to bring back Superbia. And then Superbia's effect on summon will allow us to bring back a fairy. Keep in mind this only happens when you activate this card. If you apply this card's effect, Superbia's effect will not trigger because it misses timing. Since most of our monsters are dark, we're playing triple copies of Allure of Darkness for consistency. We're playing triple copies of Shadow's Light. We could target one dark monster we control, special summon from our deck or extra deck one monster with the same type and level. So again, we're going to be targeting Superbia. That way we can bring out Arklord Christia. In some instances, we do have other targets that we can bring out, but I will get to those when we get to those. We can also banish this card from our graveyard. That way we can get an additional normal summon. Keep in mind, whenever you use either of these effects, you can't conduct your battle phase. We're playing one copy of Duality. It pretty much does the same thing as Shadow's Light, except it special summons from the hand and extra deck. It also has a neat draw effect where you can target a light and dark monster in your graveyard, shuffle that target back into the deck, and draw a card. We're playing two copies of Ready Fusion. We are playing Alvain, and by bringing out Alvain, it's a free summon that allows us to link climb. For board breakers, we're playing two copies of Dark Ruler No More, one copy of Triple Tactics Thrust. If you can't afford this card, you could play a third Dark Ruler, you could play Triple Tactics, you could play Harpy's Feather Duster, or some other board breaker. But I like Triple Tactics because if our opponent activates a monster effect, we can either add to our hand or set a normal spell. This includes Dark Ruler No More, Banishment of the Darklords, Darklord Contact, or even our Shadow's Light. We'll play one Call by the Grave to counter hand traps, and one Darklord Uprising for the first Darklord plays. Getting into the extra deck, we'll play one copy of the first Darklord. We already talked about the nuke effect whenever using Morningstar's fusion material, but this also prevents our fairy monsters from being targeted, and it also has a neat effect during the main phase where we get pay 1,000, special summon a fairy monster from my hand or graveyard in defense. So it can also allow us to extend as well. We'll play 1 copy of Alvain, which is a ready fusion target. 1 copy of the Condemned Darklord. We could pitch a card from our hand and either add or send from deck to graveyard. This allows us to tribute summon our fairies by banishing monsters from our graveyard, and also during the end phase we could gain 500 life points for every fairy monster on the field. So we don't have to worry about paying too much life points to apply effects because Condemned Darklord will allow us to replenish our life points. We're playing 1 copy of the Protector of the Agents, Moon. This is the Diamond Direwolf of Fairies. You can tribute itself or another fairy to pop an opponent's card. We'll play 1 copy of Appaloosa for the Negate. 1 copy of IP Masquerena, which can interrupt our opponent by allowing us to go into cards like Unicorn for the spin, or our Underworld Goddess to shut down activated effects. For the Xyz package, we'll play 1 copy of Big Eye. Sometimes I will activate Shadow's Light by targeting Nastin, and that will allow me to bring out Protecting Spirit Logith. And then I'll go into Big Eye to steal an opponent's monster, and then Link Climb. Keep in mind, you can't activate non-fairy effects the turn that you use Indulge Darklord's effect. So there is a little bit of playing around that you have to do. This is more or less in here for the grind game. The same applies to the rest of the Xyz monsters. We'll play 1 copy of the Zombie Vampire. This allows you to mill the top cards of both players' decks to the graveyard and then steal a monster. However, there's an added bonus. This allows you to send Darklord spells and traps to the graveyard. That way you can apply effects. For an alternative OTK strategy, we will play 1 copy of Gustav Max, 1 copy of Libe. For the Shadowlight targets, we'll play 1 copy of Herald of Arclight. You're able to target your Capricious or your Indulge to bring this out. Herald of Arclight is a negate and also a floodgate because whenever cards are sent to the graveyard, they are banished instead. For another Superbia target, we'll play 1 copy of Chaos Goddess. You can pitch a light monster from your hand to revive one of your high-level Darklords from your graveyard. This will allow you to Xyz into your Zombie Vampire or apply effects with the monster that you revived. And then for the Ishel target, we'll play 1 copy of Master Flare Hyperion. Whenever your opponent activates a monster effect, you can banish a fairy from your hand or graveyard to banish a card your opponent controls. Keep in mind, this is a quick effect. This concludes today's deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to give the video a like. Leave a comment down below. I always enjoy interacting with you, and please consider subscribing for more awesome Yu-Gi-Oh content. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I go live and upload. And until next time, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.